Hey guys, it's Justin and Joe with VMP Tuning Tuesday, episode 50, the big centennial or bicentennial, I think.
Bye.
Oh no, because that's bicentenary. I'm all fucked up.
It's 50. 50 is a big number.
50 episodes. 5 decades of episodes. We have the MFP crank support sitting in front of us again. If you guys want any type of zoomed in stuff on this or any questions about it, I believe Matt's going to be watching the show live as well to answer any questions you guys have about it that I or Justin can't.
Many things.
I know a couple of people asked, or one person asked last week how much it weighs. This prototype version without all the pocketing that Matt's going to be doing in the final version is 18.4 pounds. You throw on a tensioner, it's another 3 pounds. So for those that wanted to know, that's how much it weighs. So ModNationals is essentially this week.
Yes, we'll all be heading up to ModNationals on Thursday evening after Burnout Box.
It's going to be a good time.
Yeah, Joe's going to be there with the race truck.
Race truck, and I hear you're racing a race truck, or someone from here is racing a race truck?
There's another race truck coming too. There's a couple race trucks.
Oh man. So the real question is, are we going to be competitive with the old school Lightnings with big old blowers and turbos? I don't know how many of those guys are showing up, but
yeah,
I didn't think about that this is a modular truck class, so
that's a very good question.
This isn't just the 11 up stuff. We got the well-vetted Lightnings. Like, I don't know if Lightning's running, Johnny Lightning's running. I don't even know what his truck runs recently.
8s.
8s? Okay.
But Johnny Lightning's own track event is the same weekend as ModNationals.
Okay.
So unfortunately, he will not be coming.
Okay.
But I think Brad Gussler will be there, and he's known for racing a lot of Lightnings. I don't know if he'll actively be racing one, but he still supports a lot of that. And I think Dorian will be there if he hasn't jumped on the feed yet. Dorian, did you get your motor fixed? So, Joe, I think you'll be hoping to set a new personal best in your truck.
Yeah, should pretty easily, but definitely looking to set my best out there at SGMP.
And I'll be looking to run, hopefully a best in our big crew cab 4-wheel drive. Joe's got the lightweight truck. I got the big behemoth.
Mike Tyson and Muhammad.
Yeah.
Matt Coates says, hi guys, he's here.
Hey, Matt.
Hi, Matt.
We have some questions coming in already.
All right.
So Northwest Horsepower says, I'm buying a CobraJet power pack from us. Was wondering the performance difference between the twin 60mm and VMP TwinJet 67. I think it's TwinJet 67. I can't find any direct comparisons. Also, are there any benefits at all from aftermarket ignition coils, and would it affect my tune? He's running a Gen 1 Coyote.
Let's answer that question backwards to forwards.
Ignition coils on anything on anything 99 to 2019 Ford Mustang, whatever you want to call it, coil on pack ignition or coil on plug ignition. I do not like the aftermarket coil packs in 99% applications.
We don't see good results from them. Just run factory Ford coils. There's nothing hotter. There's nothing that makes more horsepower. If your factory coils go, which we've only seen like in 100,000 plus mile cars for the most part, then you still just need factory coils.
Yeah.
Too many problems on the dyno with stuff.
Yeah, I think if you're using an aftermarket ECU, it'd make more sense because you can change dwell and stuff like that. But most of the stock ECU stuff, I don't recommend putting aftermarket coils in it.
No.
In reference to horsepower, I haven't seen, I'd say more than 5 horsepower, 60 to 67 on a basic bolt-on naturally aspirated CobraJet setup. But there's, to me, when you're doing a naturally aspirated setup, 5 horsepower is a pretty big difference on a naturally aspirated car. When you're talking the difference between leaving that on the table versus having it. Because you're talking a car that only makes 430, 435 on pump gas, maybe 450 to 470 on E85.
And that's probably like average horsepower above, 5,000-6,000 RPMs where you'll start picking it up. So that'd be a good, when we do some intake manifold stuff again, and that would be a good test to do again, is just to test all the different throttle bodies, because there's starting to be quite a few throttle bodies available.
Yeah, and that'd definitely be something I'd like to have us have control over in terms of making sure the test is repeatable and a good A to B, because I've seen sometimes where people test like boss intake versus Cobra Jet and stuff like that, and I don't know how well they're controlling things because they don't really talk about it. So it's like, was it equal in power because it was hotter on the second pole?
Right.
It's just stuff like that. I'd like to be in control of the variables.
You can run a car on a dyno and be like, oh, it made this number, and then I run it again, and it makes more horsepower for no reason, no apparent reason if you don't control the variables. So like, you don't want to be changing parts and not properly controlling variables and finding horsepower where there really isn't any.
It's there's really some merit to taking it as a scientific test, not as a, oh, I'm just going to put it on and see what it does type of thing.
And you'll get people that'll go back to the dyno like 3 to 6 months later and be like, oh, I put this new part on and now it makes more horsepower. But it's winter time, or there's a different set of rear tires.
Or Barrow's different, or your inlet air temp at the cold air intake was different from one pass to the other, and it's like...
Yeah, barometric pressure is a big thing. That's how dense the air is, and the dynos have some correction for that, but it's not perfect.
Nardi says, hi guys, love tuning in. Question.
Hey.
Does a car lose or not register power if wheels spin on a dyno? I know that dyno is for tuning.
So
the whole point of measuring power on the dyno is getting well, there's a couple different dynos. You have like the torque arm measuring, inertia dynos, and then I want to say there's one more type of dyno.
Load bearing.
Load bearing. So at the end of the day, the dyno needs to measure either a force measured in torque, or it needs to measure a increase of speed over a set amount of time using a known mass. Both of those really factor into you having grip on the dyno.
You got to have that proper interface, and there's hub dynos out there. Joe was talking about like inertia versus eddy current dynos, and DynoJet's actually kind of a hybrid because it has both options. But there are dynos that have no inertial mass and rely strictly on an eddy current and a torque cell to measure power. But they're all, and then there's hub-mounted dynos, but they're all dependent on that interface with the driveline.
Yeah, you can't accurately measure power that the engine's producing if you either A, have clutch slip, or B, have tire slip, or anywhere in between, drive shaft slip, where we've seen drive shafts rotate on yokes before. All that stuff's taken into account when you are measuring torque.
Will says, finally catching alive, so he's excited to be here, finally catching.
Nice.
Justin Forrest says, any feedback about MPR building 5.8s?
I don't think we have any experience with MPR 5.8s.
No, we've had a couple MPR 5.0 things done, but never an MPR 5.8.
Yeah, I mean, we could pull your engine out tonight and ship it wherever you want. I was joking about the tonight part.
It's fun to think about, though.
Yeah, maybe Monday. maybe we
Tuesday,
should probably
maybe?
schedule it like a week or two out.
Probably.
Daniel says he recently placed an order on the website. He says he was unable to track due to order not appearing in my orders. Was told it was a drop shipment. He's looking for clarification. What does a drop shipment mean?
So we basically can get tracking numbers on everything. Just call into our sales and support staff and we can get you a tracking number. Most products are stocked here at VMP, but sometimes they're shipped from a supplier, and that's what a drop shipment is. But we still get tracking number on all that stuff.
Braveen wants to know what that thing is.
This is a crankshaft support. So essentially this, I don't know if you can see it spinning on that side, but there's a bearing right here and then a hub for that bearing that sits inside an ATI balancer. And essentially the purpose of this is to keep the crankshaft from moving at the leading edge. So when you're turning a supercharger, or I guess when you're turning a positive displacement supercharger, a centrifugal supercharger, anything that's creating a large amount of crank load away from the main bearings, you arguably need something like this the higher you go with that crank load, because you're getting more deflection at the end of the crankshaft, or more, like say you hit the rev limiter and you have a whole bunch of tensioner spring action and a whole bunch of torque required to drive all of the components that are being spun by the belt and the crankshaft. This helps keep the front of the crankshaft stable to keep you from breaking the crankshaft.
At very, very high horsepower levels, like 1,000 horsepower plus, this kind of protects the crankshaft from failure. And we've never seen any failures in any of our racing programs or dyno or anything, but it's definitely like an issue at those types of power levels for a lot of racers see that on, you know, combinations at the extreme end. And this, what's cool about this is this replaces a bunch of componentry that is already there. So the tensioner assembly and the upper Fiat idler bracket is all encompassed in this whole piece.
It's pretty awesome. This is, for those that don't know, maybe you, this piece is actually made by MFP.
Yeah, their logo's on here.
Yep, yep.
Right there.
With that supercharger.
Fresh from Australia.
Australian aluminum.
We have a number of people chiming in. Ben Calamer joined us.
Hey,
Hi,
Ben.
Ben.
Hi, Ben.
We have Mitchell Page on the line. Mike Siborowski. Just a few of the regulars just kind of saying hi and that are out there.
All of those guys could probably use one of these because I know 3 of those names are pushing positive displacement superchargers very hard.
Yes, very, very hard.
Slab Shack says, is the elliptical throttle body problematic to tune, and how are the street manners compared to the Ford monoblade?
So I assume he's talking about the Whipple elliptical?
Oh, so I have a throttle body on my car right now that drives all right. I mean, as you go, okay, so he's asking about like the Ford Racing Mono. So the Ford Racing Mono was discontinued by Ford Racing because they didn't like dealing with the support calls of why didn't it work on my naturally aspirated engine. I think the big thing here is use a throttle body that's appropriate for your power level, and if you're pushing super high-end power levels, then, you know, be prepared to deal with some minor nuances. What do you think, Joe?
I think the same thing. I think when those throttle bodies have been machined properly, that a lot of throttle bodies are manageable. It depends on the characteristics of the ECU you're trying to control them with. Like, as we've found, some ECUs are more okay with things like, I don't really want to get in the minutia of it, but like pedal follower ECUs versus non-pedal follower that are torque-based ECUs.
Or even speed density ECUs.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of like variables. So work with us on like what you're trying to do, and we can kind of recommend the best course of action. And we've tested all this stuff. So like if you say, hey, this car has to idle like stock, you know, and this is my combination. Okay, so you're willing to give up a little bit of horsepower. We know, we can tell you how much horsepower you'd be giving up because we've tested everything.
Anthony says, hey Joe, can I get my Mustang to have over 9,000 horsepower? And then he says, for real though, might get a Pro Charger. Would I need you to tune it again?
And what is Anthony's last name?
Anthony Lucero?
Lucero. That's he has an SN95 GT as Sebastian's old engine.
Oh, okay.
With just naturally aspirated right now with his old cams. But yeah, I can tune that. Just get with me on the setup and what you need to buy before you go out and buy stuff that doesn't work or something like that.
I think he wants to know if it needs another tune.
Yeah, it'll definitely need another tune once you get everything together.
Josh Hubble says hi to everybody. Hi, Josh.
Hi, Josh.
Hey.
Dale says 18 Roush supercharger pulley updates. Just looking to see when I should expect it.
Oh gosh, they're last week they were going to anodize, so they should be back from anodize this week. Our supplier switched over to a new anodizer, and I think we lost a little bit of time there. I know these were supposed to be ready like at the beginning of the month and beginning of last month, and they're very, very close. Sorry it's taken so long. But yeah, actually, I was actually finalizing like the laser etching design of the size and the VMP logo on the pulley face, little stuff like that. So we're really, really close.
So Eli wants you to explain the difference between a 76/75 and a 76/85 turbo. Looking into dumping my Pro Charger and going with a PTE 76mm. I'm new to turbos. Any advice would be great. The car's set up for mid 800 to the wheel. Already just changing boost type.
Tell us more about what you're trying to do. And basically, I think we would. What do you think, Joe, to answer that question?
Yeah, like it sounds like he's trying to set it up for 800 wheel, which a 76 anything should be capable of 800 wheel.
You're not making 800 wheel with that.
But yeah, just try and give us a little bit more detail on that, like what exactly you're looking to do, 1/8 mile, quarter, that, and you really have to look at the whole kit, like how is the hot side configured? Are you going to have enough flow within the hot side to support, I shouldn't even really say support, but to adequately spool a slightly larger turbo? Just tell us a little bit more about your setup.
Chris, I just emailed you a picture to download and throw up on the live stream when you get a second.
Jim Ferraro says, see you guys Thursday.
Hey, Jim.
Is Jim racing his truck? Or is Jim just hanging out for the HP2?
I think he's just hanging out, but Jim, you should race your truck.
We'll find out. Jim, are you racing your truck?
Let's throw some drag radials on that 2-wheel drive. Or does he have a 4-wheel drive?
It's 4-wheel drive truck.
4-wheel drive?
Mm-hmm.
All right, just go.
Obsidian50 says, hey, everybody.
Hi.
I know you're waiting for Chris to load that up.
I'll keep throwing questions our way.
Okay, that's what I want to know. Dirty D says, how much timing did you throw at Six's car, and were you being conservative due to stock bottom end?
Oh,
Yes.
gosh.
So that car was like 21 degrees of timing.
That's pretty conservative.
Yeah, considering boost and the fuel that we had available to us, it was only like 21 degrees.
Jim says he's flying in. He will not have the truck.
You're flying to Georgia?
Oh, Jim.
Jesus, Jim.
And he says his is a FX4 355.
Nice. That'll get out of its own way.
Except I don't have the magical 4-wheel drive.
Steven is asking, are you going to Cletus and Cars? Just curious, but my question is, I have a 14 F150 EcoBoost twin turbo. What programmer would you recommend?
We'll get you an SCT programmer on that twin turbo EcoBoost.
EcoBoosties.
We are not going to make it to Cletus and Cars, unfortunately. We'd love to, but it's the same weekend as ModNationals, so we'll be good doing that.
It seems like everything's the same weekend as ModNationals, because there's another event here in Orlando, the World Street Nationals.
Oh, yeah.
And then you were saying that Johnny Lightning has his own event.
Cecil
like,
County, Georgia, or Cecil County, Maryland track.
Yeah, so it's like there's event everywhere this
Yeah.
weekend.
You want to run that picture real quick, Chris?
Yep.
This is probably the largest size pulley that we're making. And then we're making some smaller ones too, 2.9, 2.8, 2.7. So, is that picture live? Now it is, okay. Yeah, so that's, we got a whole bunch of those coming in here very, very shortly.
Race car pulleys.
Yeah.
Ready for the next?
Yep.
Yeah. we
Okay,
do.
I was waiting. I didn't know. LX347 CID says, are you guys competing in the 6R80, 10R80 class?
We are not.
I'm competing in modular truck.
Slab Shack says, are drag radials bad for dyno runs?
I wouldn't say that they're bad in the sense that they're bad. They're just, you'll tear up a drag radial on a dyno, and you can actually heat up a drag radial too much to where you actually can hurt the compound a little bit by having it on the dyno. But on some cars, you might not hook up on the dyno without a drag radial, so it's kind of like a compromise. I'd say if you're under 1,000 wheel, try and put a street tire on it if you're going on the dyno. But even Mickey Thompson has like a disclaimer thing of do not use these tires on a dyno.
Yeah, I mean, if you do like, say, 8 to 10 dyno pulls in an hour, a drag radial will get really hot and it'll start to chunk off. You know, you'll have tread wear on the freaking dyno roller.
Start delaminating.
Mitchell Page says, package received, thanks. And Chad Dowd says, I need the smallest upper and biggest lower, amen.
Stat.
All of it.
Jared says he loves these live shows, but he's supposed to be working. Haha.
Well, trick is you can listen to it without looking and still work.
You can download it on SoundCloud and iTunes and Google Play as a podcast.
Podcasts. Anthony, who was talking earlier, says, Joe, you're on TV. KPY4EHET Mad Max says, how much to the wheel will the car lose by switching to high-flow cats on 1/7/8 headers, running 750 to the wheel with a 2.3 TVS and off-road cooks?
You'd be surprised. High-flow cats are pretty high-flow, I think.
Yeah, from a power standpoint, as long as it's not in cat protection, you're probably not leaving much on the table. But if your tuner is doing what I consider the right thing to do and leaving cat protection enabled and allowing it to turn on at the proper time to keep the cat cool to where it doesn't push it right out the tailpipe.
Might lose what, 10, 20 horse?
Yeah, 10, 20 horse, depending on the setup.
Justin Forrest says, Justin, my car is there now. When we dyno/tuned it, when Alex was there, it made, I think, like 630 because of crap fuel. How much am I missing out on with your stage 2 14 GT500 kit with full exhaust? Should we retune it?
I mean, if it's only a stage 2 kit, that's like a throttle body and a resonator delete and a tune, I think, right? Yeah. So the 630 to 650, and then maybe with a pulley, 650 to 680. I've made 700 with like the stage 4 kit in good conditions, but you have to have really good 93, which just honestly doesn't happen much anymore. If you wanted to run some boostane, we could get a little more aggressive with the tune, but head unit upgrade is going to make the biggest difference on that car. So yeah.
Clint says, what spark plug should I use on an 2011 with a Roush blower with a 79 millimeter pulley?
Brisk Racing RR14YS or NGK TR7 IX. Is it L or 11? It's like an NGK 6510. If I recall correctly.
Yeah, I think it's -11.
Okay.
Mario says, I would like to see a direct comparison at the track between a Gen 2R and a Gen 3 on the same boost and stock blower, using the same tune.
So I have a story about that.
And then he says, not sure what a 69 millimeter on a Gen 2R would translate over onto a Gen 3.
Like 82.
Yeah, Jesus, yeah. Maybe a 79 or an 82.
Yeah.
So the part of I have a story is we went all the way to Texas with Jordan Weir from Weir Racing to watch him run his GT500 with a Gen 3 and go much faster than the 2.3 liter. But yeah, I mean, we can do these comparisons like, you know,
we could do 100 different iterations every day.
You know,
at the end of the day, Gen 3 makes more power and it does it more efficiently.
I could probably, when I'm tuning, I think I could maybe style my hair the other way. Though I actually have to get a different haircut too because this is actually cut in this shape.
Oh man!
Yeah, this is
fancy.
This is actually pretty special right here. So
just for the 50th show.
Yeah. Yeah. So just we got to take into account all the variables, right?
Yeah.
But no, I mean seriously, the rotors are more efficient and it makes more power on the dyno. We've shown time and time again it runs faster too. You will not be disappointed. Nobody else has been, in my opinion.
It's one of those things where, like, if you want all this testing done, just do it, man. Like, we can't be accountable for doing every bit of testing, every facet.
I mean, that's what race teams do.
Yeah.
They do their own testing. They don't publish it on the internet.
No.
We have our own race team, our own performance company, and we publish all the results on the internet. Yeah. You're getting the best of both worlds.
Justify50 says, with 17 degrees of timing on pump, can I add a couple gallons of E85 to bump the octane?
Do not add E85 to pump fuel. God.
Joe does not like mixing fuels, and it just introduces a lot of variables.
How much did your stoic change?
Eli, who wanted to know the differences on the turbo that he's looking at, has a 13 GT quarter-mile small tire drag car. Only never sees the street. Built TH400. Race weight of 3,200. Planning on doing an on-3 hot side and a custom fabbed 3.5-inch piped cold side with the HPXF math.
For what you're doing with the car, get with, would that be Dustin Gregory or EDP?
Well, I was going to say we work with a lot of those projects, and if you're going on the street, that's the wrong combination, honestly, because you have to spool a turbo, and trying to do that on a street with, you know, these street racing flashlight starts and stuff like that.
76 ain't gonna be fun to spool.
No.
Unless he's on a trans brake with a good converter combo and has a really good working suspension.
And you're on a street that is prepped by all the other race cars running down it.
Yeah.
Because there's no way I'm going to try and leave on a trans brake on a regular street.
Yep.
Have to be one of them special streets. And
the Mexico streets.
Yeah, one of the But I mean, seriously, I'm involved with a couple of those projects right now. Actually, a similar car, and they're all using our blowers. A couple of similar cars because they can just leave with a lot of power and control it with their foot. Not have to worry about spooling it. Not have to worry about leaving on a brake. Because that's, I mean, honestly, those races, in my opinion, you like win or lose in the first 60 feet, basically.
Yeah.
Whoever gets out probably stays out.
You see, a lot of those guys only run like the equivalent of 1/8 mile distance. You don't see a lot of them running quarter.
Yeah. I mean, a turbo's awesome on the top end. You can pull serious mile an hour.
Matt Coates is on. He says, talking trucks, we got a whisper yesterday that in 2020 F-150 will be RHD?
Right-hand drive? Oh.
Wow.
Available too, so we will see them in Australia. Have you heard anything over there about the F-Series becoming global?
I have not heard anything about F-Series becoming global, but I don't have my ear down in those caves.
Yeah, I mean, that's a whole nother strategy for Ford as far as marketing trucks globally. Like, I saw a lot of the Ranger marketing. And I mean, you know, for like, I guess, South America and Africa and stuff like that, people like want, you know, trucks that can like
actually do truck stuff.
Yeah, like ford a river. I mean, let's be honest.
And people in America want trucks that can park over the curb instead of on top of it.
We brodos in America.
You had a couple people, Chad's like, did someone say Mexico? Tim's like, you guys like Mexico? And then Larry Lewis came on and says, hi from New York.
Hey, Larry.
So, goodbye to Mexico for now. People are asking about Black Friday sales. They want to know if there's going to be a discount on pulleys, E85 fuel systems. When's the list coming out? We are going to start teasing the information end of this week. Is what we
have a plan
discussed.
to tease everyone. But there will be lots of good stuff. You will not be disappointed.
Exactly. Follow and like us, and you'll get the information probably sooner than most. Justin says, pulley, Twin 67, 123 JLT, Dynatech long tubes and or X. Basically full bolt-ons minus lower. What would you recommend?
He's asking what pulley to use with that setup?
I think he's asking more so whether Dynatech long tubes or X, and or X. Cross pipe? Mid pipe?
The mid pipe.
Right? I'm still confused. Like, is he asking whether or not he should do headers?
Headers are great. Long tube headers are great. The mid pipe, X versus H doesn't really make a big difference. There's sound.
Yeah. I like H's.
Let's see, next question. James Clark wants to know, will you create a tune for a gas 6.2 F250? It's a 2015 on E85 flex fuel.
I have not tuned a gas 6.2 2015 model year, but I wouldn't anticipate it being necessarily difficult. Do you know if those went speed density or if those are still math?
I've tuned a couple 6.2 liters in the big trucks. That's a good question. I feel like they're still MAF, but the 5 liter and the F-150 went speed density. So I don't know how much Ford moved that over. I mean, get us your computer code. We can tell real quick.
Yeah.
The big thing is, if you get a tune from us, let us know if you want gas mileage or performance, because most likely the factory tune is dialed in for gas mileage on a big truck like that.
Yeah. Towing at 1.0 Lambda.
Tim says, I'm going to be in Cuba for Black Friday. Don't know how the hell I'm going to order anything.
Hotspot?
Satellite hotspot?
Yeah.
Well, there is Cyber Monday, Tim.
That is true. We do usually continue on into Cyber Monday with some deals there as well. We'll also have some holiday deals around Christmas.
Hot diggity daffodil.
William Hunt wants to know, when does Joe want to show me them F-150 taillights at OSW?
You let me know, BB.
Just a 5.0 says, on a forced induction setup like a TVS, will a Mustang do fine with stock mid-pipe and exhaust, or will it need to be 3 inches from the header back?
I was talking about that on a recent video.
In my opinion, it would be just fine on stock mid-pipe and exhaust.
Yeah.
Although increasing the size to 3-inch really can't hurt.
Robert says to take apart a 1314 GT fuel pump to replace factory OEM pump with Wilbur 450.
Don't waste your time.
Okay.
Not you, him. Don't waste your time.
There's too many issues with that assembly, even if you do get a bigger pump in there without cracking and destroying the plastic, which I mean is possible. You're not going to have enough pressure.
Yeah, I've actually tested that specific setup. It does not work much better than the factory pump and the factory hat.
Yeah.
Otto wants to know, how much power and boost can a 12 GT500 stock block handle with a Gen 3 before it pops?
So did you say GT500?
12 GT500 with a Gen 3.
We haven't popped one yet.
Yeah.
So, like
I
always say, you don't know your limit until you pass them. So
we've got a bunch of them running around out there at 750, 800 wheel. I mean, heck, I think we ran the dyno results on our social media. Did we run them on Tuning Tuesday? Max, those dyno results, did we run those on Tuning Tuesday?
Which ones?
From Michael Goodman's car?
We did not. I have them on Facebook, though.
You want to send them over to Chris and we'll run them.
Yep.
But we've done a couple videos. We got a ton of customers out there in the wild, and we've sold like 100 GT500 Gen 3s.
that's a couple.
Yeah. Yeah. And anyways, I don't think you have anything to worry about. Run like a 2.6 pulley is our pump gas recommendation. Go down to a 2.4 on E85 or race gas and let her rip.
Coyote Kelly says, since I bought my 18, I took my SCT X4 out of my old Mustang. I bought it direct from SCT a year ago and couldn't figure out how to unmarry the device before it was sold. Do I have to send it off?
Yes.
If you do not tell the person that you are selling it to that they have to do it, then I would say that you have to send it off and get it done, or you have to be very upfront with them and tell them that they're going to have to spend $150 more to get it unlocked after they receive
X4 if you just need a device that'll get it done. If you want cloud functionality, we'll sell you a RevX/BDX to where we can send you tunes, data logging configs, and you can send us data logs by just connecting the tuner to Wi-Fi. That stuff's been out for about a year and a half now. It's actually starting to work pretty decently, I think.
I'd say it works decently. The thing I don't like about the cloud upload for data logs is that it doesn't give the customer the opportunity to change the name.
Oh.
So I just get like data log 1, data log 2, data log 3, data log 4, and it's like, all right, well, what am I looking for in here? And it creates kind of an extra layer of back and forth.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. So Tim chimed in. Tim, we actually were talking about this before. He says, by the way, can you guys do a toolbox tour video for us do-it-yourselfers? And here in the media department, we were actually discussing that very topic, last week? doing something of that nature. So it's kind of nice to hear you chime in that you would like to see something like that.
Yeah, I mean...
Am I out of the loop? What does he mean by toolbox
Well,
tour? Is that like what tools you have?
Yeah, I guess so.
Okay.
So basically, like somebody like Donnie or you guys or somebody, whatever's in your toolbox, they'd like to know what's in it.
Grab that sledgehammer over there. When things don't go your way.
Need hammer.
There is literally a sledgehammer over here for an upcoming video that we're going to do.
Oh man, it's a big sledge too.
I don't know if that package came in yet. I had him address it to the media department.
Hammer? Hammer.
Yeah. It's like a 20-pound sledge. But yeah, I mean, toolbox tour is a great idea. We were talking about like race rigs tour. You know, people want to see more of the VMP facility that we've got out here in New Smyrna Beach, Florida. So we do lots of tours. We're talking about having all kinds of fun with the GoPro Live feature. And
I know that more and more people like to see the builds that we're working on. So as new builds become available and are here in the shop, we will see what we can feature and what we can't. We plan on doing more of that. Slab Check says, I had seen a guy actually go slower but claim better numbers when he went from a ported TVS to Whipple. Maybe didn't want to look like an ass for switching it up.
I know who that is too.
Oh man.
Anyway, another person is asking about Black Friday.
We're gonna bring it.
Yeah. Lindsay, I'm sorry?
I have those dyno trucks ready.
Okay, do you want to go ahead and...
So 5.4
Run the
liter GT500 dyno numbers. This is a car that I remote tuned and was dynoed over at one of our buddies' shop, Pete at Performance Dyno. Chris, what numbers are those there?
We got 843 and 850. 851 horsepower, 843 torque.
So those were the uncorrected numbers on a very cold day. And then there was another graph with corrected numbers. I think it made about 800 corrected for the extremely cold temperatures. So pretty awesome. We posted that on our Facebook, I think last week you said, Max?
Yep.
Yeah, so you can always go look at it on there too. But that's a 2010 GT500. Basically all 07 to 12s are all the 5.4 liter. Power-wise, they pretty much do the same.
True story.
Good stuff.
So for inquiring minds that wonder why the uncorrected number is higher than the corrected number, the uncorrected number, since it was a really cold day, was the power that the car actually made. The correction corrects usually for like a set baro, set humidity, and a set temperature. So the correction worked the other way in this case because most of the correction factors rely upon an either 55-degree temperature with other set conditions, and then that'd normally be like our STD correction factor. Then an SAE, I believe, is around 72 or 77-degree correction factor. So when you increase temperature, your power goes down.
David Lindsay says that he likes the show when we do it in the garage. Just some feedback.
We'll mix it up for you soon.
Luma Venom Charge says, Prince, if I may too off topic a bit, does the VMP Gen3 fit South African model of a Mustang 5.0?
So 15 to 17 exported to South Africa, right-hand drive, I think, is what you have down there.
I believe it'd be right-hand drive in South Africa.
So Matt Coates actually has some VMP Gen3 kits on right-hand drive cars.
Mm-hmm. We have some in Germany as well.
Okay.
And some in France. And Italy, I believe, is right-hand drive as well, and we have a couple there.
Okay.
So if nothing else has changed from the European, Australian versions in terms of a fitment standpoint, our kit should work on a right-hand drive car in South Africa, no problem.
Junior says, how many engines do you guys have the crank support on?
Right now we have it on 0. This was it originally intended for my truck, and then when I saw that Rebecca's car was coming to ModNats, I'm like, This may be better off on Rebecca's car in terms of representing what this crank support's capable of.
Yeah, we're going to have this at ModNats one way or another. So on one application or another or something, so everybody can check it out there.
Matt just chimed in. He said, we can help you with all headers and install differences for RHD Mustangs.
Perfect.
Awesome.
Thanks, Matt.
Jay says, tell Justin I said thank you for the deal on the overstock cooks.
Oh, you're welcome.
There's a conversation going back and forth between a couple people about 93 and E85 and boosting.
Oh man.
Yeah, what's best to use? On the 2650, what pulleys did Jordan try, and what did you learn from them?
Good question. Jordan Weir has some customizations on his car, so he wasn't able to run the off-the-shelf snub idler bracket. He's got a really big lower pulley, bigger than most people, 20%. So he really doesn't need to run our smallest pulley. You know, that coupled with, he ended up running a custom BPS snub idler bracket, which that'll all be in our video that we're going to put out about the Texas Mile. He ended up running like a 2.5 or a 2.6 to run those numbers. So if you can spin a rear inlet, one of our rear inlet VMP Gen3 TVSs, if you can spin it like 26,000, 27,000, you're more than there. And you don't even necessarily need to spin it that fast, but it makes a little more torque that way.
So real quick, Yervind wants to know if we would answer a suspension question about his 12 GT500. So I'm just going to respond and say, ask your question. So if you ask us your question, I'll get it in the queue and we'll see what we can answer.
True story.
Poor boy just came on. He's all excited. He just got a raise and is planning on getting a, I'm assuming Gen 2R. He said Gen 2F. I'm assuming Gen 2R.
Nice, nice.
For his 13 GT manual. Joe, by chance, did you get my email about the throttle body?
What's poor boy's real name?
I'm not sure. Poor boy 313 is what I know. So poor boy, give us your real name, and then Joe can tell you whether or not he's seen it yet or not. Let me go back to the queue here. Justin Forrest is a 14 GT500 with the VMP 2.6 pulley, jet intake, twin 67 throttle body, Dynatech long tubes, or X-pipe tunes on 93, made 630. It seems a little off. So he wants to know if he should be making more than 630 with that setup.
I'd like to see a log. Being that you're on 93, that's kind of the variable that you have going on there. That, and I don't know what type of dyno it's on. So I'd say if you, and I say this to everyone watching, if you're going to put your car on the dyno, data log it. Because data without data to support why what happened is kind of useless data. I don't know.
He came back and said JLT, not jet, which he has to keep in mind that,
10-4. Yeah, so if you're putting your car on a dyno, data log it. Then there's no question as to why it made what it made or how you can compare that to other people's dyno numbers or anything like that. Then you know exactly what happened.
Poor boy says Martin Alvalar.
I don't recall getting an email about that. So either give me a call after the show, or just bump up your email and put something in the subject line about Ask Joe.
James Clark, the gentleman with the F250, says, what computer codes do I have to show to see if he can get a tune?
It'd be ECU SWPN code, or you can... the easiest way to get that is to plug an SCT device into the OBD2 port and send us the ECU SWPN code from the vehicle info screen. If it was a Mustang, I'd say just get me the VIN and I can tell you whether or not we can tune it, but globally speaking, most Mustangs we can tune. So yeah, give me ECU SWPN code, and it doesn't even need to be an SCT device you own or that's married to the truck. You can take any SCT device and get a vehicle info capture of ECU SWPN without being paired to the vehicle or married to the vehicle.
Justin, who was talking about the 630 to the wheel that he's getting, that he said sounds off to him, he said we should have logs that Alex had tuned it initially. So
If those logs weren't on the dyno, the day it was dynoed, then they're useless for determining why it made what power it made.
Rodrigo says that he wants to race your F-150 as well, Joe. He's got Cummins almost ready for it.
Oh man, that's Rod McMaster, I believe.
Yep, that's who that is.
Good people.
Ryan says, what kind of power would you expect to see running on the Gen 3 on a 100% stock 15 to 17 Mustang pushing 93 octane to the limit?
670 wheel, maybe 700 if you're lucky. But that's 93 to its limit with Gen 3 with the supporting mods for Gen 3.
Yeah, that's probably stockish exhaust.
Yeah.
If we go more aggressive on exhaust, and that's only like, what, 12 pounds of boost?
Yeah, I'd say it's 11, 12 pounds on 93.
Oh,
So yeah,
really?
as you increase supporting mods for like long tubes or throwing a little bit better octane at it than just 93, your power level goes up.
You end up making like 900, like just a 6.
Yeah. As if you guys saw that video, you saw it wasn't really that hard. Just octane and blower.
Oh, sorry.
It's all good.
John Pavia says, Justin Joe, the guy who bought my car lives in Illinois and wants to do a couple modifications to it. He's looking for a tuner since I told him I wouldn't tune it for him. Any recommendations for a tuner in his area? Maybe a mail order?
Would Bob Monks be in the Illinois area?
He's a little south in Missouri. We've got a guy in, Bob Monks, STL Mustangs, outside of St. Louis.
Where's Kevin?
He's out on East Coast, I believe.
He's in Jersey, I think, or somewhere like that.
Yeah, Illinois, you're kind of getting into that black hole of the Midwest.
Yeah. Bob Engel, but he's in Kansas City.
Yeah, he's even farther south.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd say Bob Monks is probably the best guy, and he does a lot of that type of Cobra stuff. He's got a dyno and everything.
Ready for me?
Yes.
Okay. James says, important question. My 15 Mustang GT VMP charger, can I set it up for more boost by using smaller pulley and a relief system to stop at certain boost?
That's something that you would do on like a centrifugal supercharger where it's more engine speed reliant for building boosts, similar to like a turbo. With a PD blower, it's almost silly to overspin it to achieve a boost target, whether you're using a wastegate or a boost controller, to achieve that target boost.
Yeah.
Because the way a PD blower makes boost, it isn't like a Century, it isn't like a turbo. You don't have to overspin them to achieve a boost at lower RPM that you can achieve at a higher RPM.
Yeah, you make so much bottom end, you make full boost by 3,000, 3,500, there's just no need for it.
No. But can you do it? Yes. Would I recommend doing it? No.
Dave Frank says, I have an 07 GT looking for a decent crate engine replacement, 3-valve for a boosted application for quarter-mile fun car. Any shops that you can recommend? I'm up in Canada, so shipping to Montana for pickup.
Coyote swap. Don't mess with the 3-valve.
Yeah, I was going to say like a Ford Racing Coyote control pack and the whole thing.
There's the Mustang shop, I think, that might be in that kind of middle south side of Canada. We've dealt with them a little bit over the years.
Yeah, and then there's Archangel Motorsports in South Dakota.
They're in South Dakota? Okay,
Yeah.
so if you could get it down to South Dakota, yeah.
Yeah.
Otto just chimed in, says Dean's Performance in Northern Illinois and is a Cobra guy.
Ah, there we go.
That's
As
a
a
good idea.
recommendation.
Yeah.
Michael Goodman says, you guys rock. Love the Gen 3 numbers I put out.
Thanks, Michael.
Nice, nice.
Junior wants to know, has anyone used the crank support for a Coyote at VMP?
No
We
one
already
has-
answered that.
No one at VMP has used one yet.
There we go.
Soon.
Yeah, that'll be this week, so. Although, for the sake of argument, the car that the prototype for this is on is a Kenny Bell supercharged Ford Ute, which is basically, think like El Camino Ford Falcon, or not Ford Falcon, Ford Ranchero looking car. Runs over 30 pounds of boost using the Kenny Bell. Same belt this whole season. Previously had all sorts of belt issues and issues with braking belts, and no longer has those issues with this crank support system.
Imagine what flexes at 30 pounds of boost that you didn't know was flexing.
Yeah, or that you can't visually see flexing because it happens so fast or at such a high frequency.
Yeah.
Larry Duran is chiming in and says, hi all.
Hey Larry.
Hi Larry.
We have about 3 minutes left, so I have a few more questions I'd like to try to get through.
Hammer time.
Hammer time. Imelda says, hello guys, what is a good upgrade to increase horsepower on a supercharged 13 Roush Stage 3 with an 82mm pulley and McLeod clutch, aluminum one-piece drive shaft, and runs 626 to the wheel on dyno? Stock engine.
Bunch of our VMP upgrades, throttle body, elbow, smaller pulley, bigger fuel injectors, top it off with a VMP custom tune, a little boostain, a little long tube exhaust.
Yeah.
We'll have you making, you know, mid 600s, even really 700 plus, depending on how far you want to push it.
Rick wants to know if the crank support is available for terminators.
It is not.
No.
That's an avenue Matt's going to be going down with the crank support once we get all the testing, validation, and final processing done on Coyote stuff.
I hate Cobra's belt system.
Yeah, the same could be said for Lightning. It's basically the same thing.
Well, you leaves a lot to be desired.
Matt chimed in real quick on the crank support. He said we've run all season on our customer's Big Run Racing Falcon with our billet manifold and 30 PSI running 169 miles per hour and 8.3 conservatively through leaf springs. The car has used the same 10 rib belt all season with a 4.7 liter blower.
Nice.
That's a big blower. 4.7.
Yeah.
Gary Jones says, so many people are talking about the S550 rod knocking. How many cars have you guys experienced that actually have tolerance issues from the factory, and how much is hype?
Is this the tick or is this the rod knock? Are they the same thing?
Are they one and the same? I've had zero personal experience with any type of rod knock or ticking noise on 2018 Mustangs, given I've played with 5 or 6 here in the shop, but a lot more via email, and I haven't had any of my customers via email complaining about any type of noise that they're hearing, so whatever that's worth.
I think we got, do we still have that one coming in tomorrow for a dyno?
I'm not sure. I'd have to look at the schedule.
Yeah.
Love the Tuesday show, even when I'm not able to catch it live. Is it safe to run my Gen 2R on my 12 GT500 with 2.4 lower 56s, VMP dual bat, full stock exhaust on 93? E85 is around here, and I prefer stock exhaust.
Yeah.
The part I'm wondering about is the lower that he mentioned. It just heard lower. I didn't hear whether it was stock or 5 or 10% or 15, or I guess it's just 10 or 15. For
Tell us what size your lower is. I mean, if it's a good 93, but we want to see more injector in it. If you have a 2.3 with upper and lower all the way, which meaning smallest pulley on the upper, 56s in a booster is kind of pushing it. And 93 is kind of pushing it. You can do it with good 93 because the GT500s are low compression.
But it's still one of those things where it's like, if you're going to be pushing it that hard, throw a little octane at it, whether it's via octane booster, or race gas, or E85.
Yeah, I mean, we can make it safe and make more power with like some
Exactly.
boosting
You get some safety
easily.
margin and you get a lot more power. I'm just going to do spins for the last 3 minutes.
Zach says, I know this conversation in question has been beaten like a dead horse, but I'm on the market for an S550, and I'm having a really hard time deciding between an MT82 car or a 6R80. I don't live at the track, plan to put my Whipple Gen 3 on it, shooting for 700 to the wheel on 93. I want to have fun and sometimes go to the track. Which do you recommend?
Man, I mean, a manual's fine for a street car.
Yeah, that, and it'll make the 700 wheel goal easier.
Yeah, less parasitic loss.
Yeah. For what it sounds like you're wanting to do with a car, both the automatic and the manual could be fun. If you've driven manuals historically in the past and you kind of like that driving experience of driving a manual, then get the manual car.
Rick says, what is the highest, safest horsepower / torque on a 12 GT500 with stock injectors and stock cold air with a Gen 2R?
Stock cold air, I'd say no more than 650, 630 wheel is what that cold air will support, and it'd probably be close to tapped out at that 650 wheel mark.
Also asked what supercharger pulley.
I wouldn't run anything smaller than a 2.6 with our blower on the stock cold air.
All right, so the gentleman who wanted to know about the suspension question, apparently his car slides like crazy on turns. Current setup is adjustable lanyard, relocation bracket, lower control RM boxed, upper control arms, subframe connectors, all BMR. Viking Crusaders with ETSS 305 3520s. What can he do because the car is sliding like crazy?
Just go slower around the turns. I mean,
Oh man, I've never heard of anyone complaining about having issues sliding around corners.
Yeah.
Like most of the time that I find that people have issues with, I assume he's talking about oversteer sliding and not like sliding into the corner. Like turns wheel keeps going straight understeer situation. But even then you shouldn't have that with a Mickey Thompson on the back unless you have too much speed or it's wet outside.
There's more than meets the eye here with this story.
Dale says, what pulley are you running on the VMP Roush supercharged car, and what are your IAT 2 temps at watt? The 18 Roush supercharged car, just to be clear.
At what point during watt?
Stock pulley, I think around 140 to 150.
Yeah.
Poor boy wants to know, what do you guys think about the new Mopar Hellephant?
Hellephant?
Yeah, Hellephant, whatever the hell they're calling it. I saw the pictures and renderings of it, but I haven't looked at the videos of it.
Looks cool. We can make more power with a Coyote engine and a VMP Gen3. That's what I got to say to that.
How about that?
One more question and then we're going to call it a day because I know we all have some other things we need to take care of. On a ported 18 Mustang GT manifold versus ported manifold on a bolt-on nitrous 14 Mustang, is the ported worth the extra cost?
That's for you to decide.
If you want to go all the way,
go all the way.
Not a bad idea.
That's one of those like pet peeves of mine. Quantify what's worth it and what's not worth it to me.
Yeah, yeah.
William Hunt says VMP facility tour would be worth watching. Really enjoyed seeing the property when he came down to visit.
Awesome. We've done a few. Didn't we do kind of a facility tour with Cletus? And I don't know.
Cletus's video shows a lot, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought we've done a couple of them. I don't know if people just aren't seeing them or what.
And Justin Young did one on his live feed when he came down and visited at one point. One of the first times he came down, and we've done a number of shop videos on live stream.
We can always do more.
But we can always, always do more. And with that said, it is 2:35.
It's about that time.
Thanks for watching, everybody. Catch Burnout Box on Thursday at 6 p.m. live from VMP. And if you're not already subscribed to the VMP YouTube channel, subscribe, like, and share.
And if you haven't already requested time off for the event this weekend, come check out
ModNationals.
Yeah, come say hi, come see us all.
Valdosta, Georgia, South Georgia Motorsports Park. That's where a lot of the VMP team will be this weekend.
If you're in Florida, you're no more than, what, 5 hours away from it? 5-6 hours away from it?
Yeah, we're 4 hours away in Central Florida.
Obsidian 50 says later, Joe.
Bye, Obsidian. I want to say that's Michael.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.